a great time to take advantage.
You gonna screw up the show? You're gonna be all right.
The garden center's being open and some fairly decent weather. A little rain moving
all right.
tonight, tomorrow.
He's not hearing you. Hey, I hit the Facebook thing too, so mind your P's and Q's. But I got two things.
Trust me. That will continue to grow
one
for you
is
year after
my buddy
year.
Richie's calling in bottom of the hour on the 821 number.
Trees, new screen plantings, whatever it may be. Thanks to all of our callers today. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks, of course, to Emily Vincenza, Clark Taylor, our producer, because without Emily, none of this stuff would happen.
Yeah, I did.
A favor, make it the best.
No, I did. And then you might. Can you talk on our show?
Studios. If you had a loved one recently die in a nursing home, call 800-ELK-OHIO. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Gentlemen, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Elite Body and Laser has a quick, safe, non-invasive, surgery, pain-free procedure that gets to the root of the problem and is proven to enhance sexual performance and satisfaction. Find out how other men have achieved greater intimacy with their partner by calling Elite Body and Laser today at 614-334-4944 or visit EliteBodyandLaser.com to schedule a free private consultation today.
Help reduce unnecessary emergency room visits. Those in mental health crisis should call Columbus Springs first. Inpatient and outpatient assessments are available on-site and over the phone for adults and children. Teletherapy is now available. Visit ColumbusSprings.com.
All right, coolness. All right, I'm going to be back in a sec.
At the strip mall down the street legal. I'm attorney Brad Koffel. This is a question I get every now and then. It may or may not be. If the women working there don't speak English, they want tipped in advance, and it just doesn't seem legit, then it probably is not legit. Human trafficking is a huge problem and a big focus of Ohio law enforcement right now. Detectives and agents do have ways to surveil those little dark rooms and identify who's going in and coming out. Enter these spas at your own risk. Any questions? Give me a call. 614-884-1100.
Wild Birds Unlimited. Now's a great time to start seeing new birds in your yard. Wild Birds Unlimited has the best bird food in town and feeders designed by experts that are sure to attract some new feathered friends. Wild Birds Unlimited in Dublin, Westerville, Reynoldsburg, and Canal Winchester, or visit online wbu.com/Columbus.
Wild Birds Unlimited. We bring people and nature together.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
The need for organ and tissue donation is greater than ever. Once every 48 hours, an Ohioan dies waiting for a transplant. Register online in the Ohio Donor Registry at lifelineofohio.org.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville. An iHeartRadio station.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packard. The nation facing its first tests in reopening with Georgia and Oklahoma this week, allowing personal care businesses like hair salons to start servicing clients, with other non-essential businesses set to open May 1st. ABC's Steve Osunsami is in Atlanta.
This is reopening day in Atlanta. After weeks of trying to pay her bills with empty pockets and closed doors at her hair salon, small business owner Regina Herschel was excited and nervous today.
I felt like, oh my God, now I have a chance to at least try to work so that way I can provide for my family. So I was excited about it, even though I am still nervous.
She still has to work with rubber gloves, a plastic shield, and a mask under that. And on this first day of a return to commerce, she was booked solid.
But in Oklahoma City's Mayor David Holt saying he feels like the state's moving too fast, potentially putting residents at risk.
I think my gut says the date would have been a little later. But, having said that, I understand there's a date out there somewhere.
He says the governor's decision forced his hand in reopening the city. In New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo minutes ago saying the state is on the downside of the mountain.
It's down to about 1,100 new cases. Only in this crazy reality would 1,100 new cases be relatively good news, right?
New York COVID-19 deaths in the last 24 hours, 437, up slightly from the day before. A big shipment arrived in the South Bronx today to help families in need of food. A truck carrying 43,000 pounds of potatoes. Food came from Midwest farms that would have thrown it out, the potatoes, because they couldn't get to grocery stores. Daniel Diaz, Executive Director of Eastside House Settlement.
The speed in which we were able to get this truck here and the conversations that we had leading up to this point, it's been truly amazing for us.
Diaz says everything came together in a matter of days. You're listening to ABC News.
A company based in the Cleveland suburb of Independence will
help with the state's efforts to ramp up testing for coronavirus. Governor Mike DeWine says Roe Dental will bring people back to work as a result.
The Manufacturing Alliance helped Roe Dental secure the specifications to manufacture swabs, and they got that from Formlabs, a 3D printing company in Toledo.
Normally, they make materials used by dentists who are creating new teeth for patients. Meantime, Thermo Fisher, which employs 1,500 in Ohio, has committed to providing the reagent used in testing. By the end of the month, the governor says the state should be able to test more than 7,000 people a day, and that's going to go up. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine also will not have a news briefing today. On Monday, people will want to pay attention. The governor is going to be detailing that day the plans for businesses to reopen, something he has said will be done on a gradual basis and only if businesses practice social distancing. The deadline for people voting via mail in the primary election is approaching. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose says 1.7 million Ohioans have received mail-in ballots. Fewer than 1 million have actually been returned. The deadline for ballot applications, noon today. All ballots must be postmarked by Monday in order to be counted. You can turn it in by 7:30 Tuesday night at your county board of elections, and if your ballot didn't arrive in the mail, you can cast a provisional ballot at your county elections board. Some airline service from Ohio to Florida will start up in about a week.
Spirit Airlines is restoring service between Cleveland and Orlando, Florida, earlier than planned. The flights will also make a stop in Columbus for 2 weeks in May. The coronavirus bailout package requires carriers to maintain service. Flights resume starting May 3rd with flights on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays through May 19th. I'm Ken Robinson.
And for more on the coronavirus, go to the iHeartRadio app.
We're open.
I'm Tom Moore.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTBN.
Join the TJ Martell Foundation in the fight against leukemia, cancer, and AIDS. Your support helps facilitate cutting-edge research that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives. Right. Visit tjmartell.org to learn about music's promise for a cure.
The CDC says one of the most important measures you can take at home to mitigate potential virus spread is opening your windows and allowing fresh air to circulate. Try it today. It's Mark Blazer for my friends at Window Nation. If your windows can't open, it's time to give Window Nation a call and replace those old windows. Window Nation remains an essential business and can provide immediate relief for homeowners who are in need of new windows. Right now, they're deferring payments on your new windows for 2 full years, which means you pay literally nothing for 24 months. They have also temporarily reduced prices by up to 50% on all window styles. They can help improve your home, and you can support a local business. So secure your #1 investment, your home, and Window Nation will defer your payments for 24 months, and you don't even have to put a nickel down. They can come to you, or you can schedule a live virtual presentation and get exact pricing in less time than it takes to watch the news. Up to 50% off, no money down, and no payment for 2 years. 866-90Nation or windownation.com.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my co-owner and father, Phil. He sits to my left. Guys, we have an opportunity. I didn't tell either. I don't think I've told anyone about this. So we have an opportunity, but we're going to need a little help on it. We got a call this week from a station in Cincinnati, another iHeartRadio station, who wants our show to be down there as well.
Very nice.
You guys up for it?
Oh, good. I'm not going to travel down there, Eric.
You don't have to travel. It's the same time. It's technology.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I can probably wire you up at home, and you can do it from home.
Now, that's an idea.
So, but in all honesty, they wanted to know if we would consider it might even be the same time slot, so it would be a live show that goes from Cincinnati and Columbus. The problem is the cost to do it, and it's just to put this up and to get it to work. There's quite a bit of reoccurring cost with it. So if you know anyone out there who's looking to be a sponsor, now might be a great time, especially if there's someone who could benefit from a sponsorship from broadcasting in Columbus and Cincinnati. So an Ohio-based company, something like that. It will give us a really a broad range of audience and stuff.
A lot of your attorney firms do that.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So now's the time. You can contact us anytime. It's real easy. OnTarget at lepd.com is our email address, or call in, or if you have any ideas, we are all open for that, because I'd love to do that. I think we'd really have a service, and it would be kind of a neat thing.
I thought we were going to get syndicated one time.
Huh? Well, it's all part of it. It's all part of it.
All right.
Well, we are the owners of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are located at 999 Bethel Road. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our customers and our listeners with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today on the show, we have some hot off-the-press news from one of the biggest firearms manufacturers in the world. And at the very least, it's going to be very interesting and impactful. And my buddy Richie will be calling in at 12:30. I don't know, has he chimed in on Facebook there, Ed?
I haven't seen him yet.
He's going to be calling in at 12:30 with all the details. It's really it's pretty impactful what he has to say, and I have not seen it reported anywhere. So you might actually be hearing it here first.
You say it's from the biggest firearm manufacturer?
One of the biggest, yeah. It's some big news. That's coming up at 12:30. Before that, of course, JC has some news, and there's always, right now, there's always some news going on in this COVID world. And then I'm going to have the Gun of the Week, sponsored by TTG Technology. It's kind of a neat one. I think, Paul, I think you even agree. This one's kind of neat. It hasn't been in my possession all that long. Has a little history.
Yeah. Did you tell Ed which one it was?
Because I have not told Ed. I wanted to get his authentic reaction and stuff. So
you give him no opportunity to do show prep, to read up on it, or nothing.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, but he wouldn't anyways.
No, I know.
John and I had a good conversation about
it. It's not funny, John.
But yeah, that's going to be coming up shortly as well. Like to thank our sponsors, Rampart Hosting. Actually, it's TTD Technology now. Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, The Trigger Group, Blackwing Shooting Centers, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, Clean Water Systems, and LEPD Training Facility. But I'm going to give a shout out to a new sponsor today. My wife, the owner of the store, got a new car this weekend.
Ooh.
Got a new car this week, and the dealership that she got it from, MIG, M-I-G, in Bell Fountain, Ohio, was over the top wonderful. Just unbelievable how hands-on they were to make this work.
Even with the coronavirus, they were hands-on.
Hands-on, Ed. I'm telling you.
At a 6-foot distance.
Yeah, it's right. No, they were. Fred over there is the owner, and we went in, and it unbelievable the things they helped us with. We told them what our parameters were, what we could and couldn't do, and man, they worked within those. And you know what? They're not even fully open right now.
Well, the suspense is killing me. What did she get?
She got a Wrangler.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's sharp. We've been looking at it for a long, long time, and it just
color?
Happened silver.
Nice.
It just so happened that now was the time. And he is. I talked to him this morning, and they're going to start opening up their the dealership. Actually, service and parts is opening next week. Kind of a soft opening, and then May 1st, the dealership will be officially open again. But he told me to tell everyone, if you're in the market for a used vehicle, if you go to their website, it's MIG, M-I-G. It's in Bell Fountain. It's a Chrysler and Jeep, that they have some phenomenal deals right now in used cars.
Okay.
So definitely a place to go, and we cannot speak higher than these guys. They're just wonderful, wonderful people. So if you missed a show, you can always catch the podcast. It's at 610WTVN.com. It's on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and now Google Podcast. Facebook Live, though, great place to watch it. You can see everything that goes on. And Ed will talk to you during the commercial breaks, if that's something you like. Actually, Ed's monitoring our Facebook, so as you ask questions out there, Ed will get right to them, answer them, and then during the commercial breaks, he can actually talk over the air, and you can listen to that. And then the shows out there going forward. Speaking of shows going forward, for the last couple weeks, due to the high demand of people wanting training, and then a lot of these new firearm owners out there, we have been doing a short podcast. It's anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour on Mondays at noon. Dee and I have been doing it, and it's a great forum to ask questions. It's kind of on the fly. We talk about anything you want to talk about in regards to new firearms, picking out new firearms, some of the safety about them. And so we're going to do it again this Monday at noon, and those are also archived out there on Facebook and YouTube. Did you see it last week, Ed?
I did.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Yep.
Did you learn anything, Ed?
No, I did not. I didn't have the volume up.
Lovely. So what else here? Guys, we are prime. Speaking of opening, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, the range is going to open back up with limited hours, but we're going to get it to open back up, start to get a little bit of normalcy back to us here. We are open today. We're open Tuesday through Saturday right now, 11 to 4. And if you really want to get ahead of yourself there when you're looking to buy a firearm, if you go to our website, lepd.com, on the website, we have the current list of firearms we have in stock. So a lot of people are going to that site, sending us a message saying, hey, I want this firearm. We'll have it pooled and ready to go when you get here. Okay, after all of that, what else? Who's here with me? My father and co-owner, Phil, sits to my left. That's you, Papa, right? Let me see.
That would be me.
Yep.
The one and only.
The handsome one.
Did you see what I was carrying today?
Nope.
Edward?
What do we got here today?
Huh? Now, if you're not on Facebook, you're not going to be able to see this. But there's no bullets in it right now.
Starter gun?
It's not a starter gun.
I don't like it, Eric. I don't like it.
That's a Smith JC for those JC. It's my Smith & Wesson. I think it's a 627 maybe. It's the 8-shot snub nose.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess less than thrilled
a lot
here.
of good it does you if there's no bullets in it.
I unloaded it for the show.
Oh.
So that's my father, co-owner, sits to my left. Big Ed sits to our right.
Good afternoon.
Yep. You doing any better with your projects around the house?
No. Well, I got my spreader all finished, and it's ready to rock and roll as soon as it quits raining long enough. Hey, Mike Brooks just checked in. I wanted to make sure that Mike knew May 5th the gun range is open, Mike. May 5th.
That's right. He's asking every week, isn't he?
Yes.
Yep. And, of course, JC from our sales team is sequestered in a undisclosed location. JC, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm sitting to your very far right. So, there you go. So,
JC, here's a stat for you. Now, you got to take this with a grain of salt, and I'm not here to override the governor or the doctor acting. Although, my degree is in microbiology, Ed.
Yes, it is.
So at one point I did know a little bit about this stuff. But, okay, I'm going to throw out a trivia question for you guys. To date, nationwide, according to the CDC, how many cases of coronavirus, of someone contracting the virus, has been attributed to that person getting it off of a surface, off of money, or off of, we hear that it can live, 7 days on this and 14 days on this. How many? Now, again, take this with a grain of salt because it's hard to determine how it was contracted. But guess how many to date? Now, this goes back to January. Guess how many they have attributed it, JC, to getting it off the surfaces?
Well, that is a question that my wife and I have talked about. I don't know. I just don't know. But it's interesting. What is it?
Well, they still haven't found the first one, but they know that it can happen.
They know it's possible.
Yeah, that's according to CDC. Now, again, it's hard to tell if you contracted where it was contracted from. But the CDC goes on to say, and there's no confirmed cases where we've been able to prove that someone were able to contract it off of a known surface. Basically, wash your hands.
That's good news.
Keep your hands out of your nose and mouth and ears, and that's a big part of it.
Well, I heard on the news, I think it was this week, that they are finding out that a lot more people have had the virus.
Right.
Didn't realize they had it. They thought it was a cold or whatever, maybe had no symptoms.
Right.
A lot more had it and gone on with their lives.
Yep.
And so that really affects the ratio of the number of people that have contracted the virus versus the number of deaths that they had.
Exactly.
Because the deaths remain the same.
Yep.
And so a lot more people, what they're finding out.
So the death rate is a lot lower.
Is a lot lower. Yeah.
Good. JC, you have some news for us, and I know there was some big, huge news out of California. I mean, huge.
This is really, really big, making everybody's news list. But in case you haven't heard yet, on Thursday, a federal judge, and hats off to this judge, it's U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez, He blocked California's law that requires background checks for people buying ammunition. So think about that. In California, every time you want to buy ammunition, hey, I'm out of a box of ammo, got to go back in, you had to have a background check and pay $1 each time to have the check done. And he threw out that law. So this is just a huge decision. His report was, he did a 120-page opinion, 120-page opinion on their law. I thought that was pretty amazing. His quote was, here's several of the quotes in his 120 pages. It said, this experiment has been tried. The casualties have been counted. California's new ammunition background check law misfires. I like that. And the Second Amendment rights of California citizens have been gravely injured, Benitez wrote. He said that this law, the background check law, was onerous, convoluted, and constitutionally defective. He also wrote in his quotes, law-abiding citizens are imbued with the unalienable rights to keep and bear firearms along with the ammunition to make them work. That a majority today may wish it otherwise does not change the constitutional right. How about that? And he also wrote in his report, criminals, tyrants, and terrorists don't do background checks. Duh.
That's my favorite one, JC.
Background check. Yeah, he said the background check experiment defies common sense while unduly and severely burdening Second Amendment rights of every responsible gun-owning citizen desiring to lawfully buy ammunition. So, I mean, 120 pages of this, but bottom line, when you think about it, he said one of the reasons, he said this it was intended to keep the ammunition out of criminals. He didn't say this. This was part of the report that was presented, that 16% of the time, 4 out of every 25 people who were legally allowed to buy it were blocked because of the flaws in their system. 16% of the people couldn't get it through no fault of their own just because it was screwed up. But he did say that the ammunition law illegally blocks out-of-state vendors from California's market, and that it conflicts with the federal law allowing gun owners to bring their firearms and ammunition through California, which you're allowed to do in every state, but you couldn't in California. So this was a really, really big decision. So I was wondering how many other states had this. Well, New York was the first state to require the ammunition background checks, but they never put them into effect. So even though they passed it, New York has never done it. So California was the first to implement this ammunition background check. However, 4 other states, Connecticut, Illinois, Massachusetts, and New Jersey, require buyers to undergo background checks to get a license. So if you have a license to buy a firearm, that also applies to ammunition, but you can't in those states unless you have one of those firearms identification card things. So they've had it. But this is just really huge. And guess what? It took effect immediately. So I think on yesterday they threw out that law. So that's
good. I mean,
in his report. So,
finally a little common sense has prevailed. That was crazy from the beginning. I mean, there was all kinds of issues with it. And at one point we heard, I don't know if this was confirmed, that you had to have a passport because there was some issues. California had given out driver's license to
illegal aliens.
And so that couldn't be suffice as identification anymore. So it was crazy. So good story, JC. When we come back from the break, JC will have another bit of news. I'll get to my gun of the week. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break. Why does Cindy like you so much, Ed?
Cindy's one of my best fans.
She's Team Ed.
She is Team Ed. I feel like I'm being overrun here.
We're going to change things around here. Probation is over.
Is this a coup?
It is. Sounds like
it is a coup. It is. I'm going to get. Well, Cindy's my top fan, and she's going to help me get the Big Ed fan club going. Isn't that right, Cindy?
You know she can't talk back to you.
She can too. I'm watching her right here on my phone. Her and I have been having a conversation.
About 1,000.
Welcome, Facebook fans. It's good to see everybody out there checking in. Sam's there. Mike's there. My brother Mike in Florida. My lovely daughter in Centerburg, Ohio, protecting the good citizens there. See, Cindy even said she's my biggest fan. We're going to start a fan club up. Who out there on Facebook wants to see me off probation? Let me chime in on Facebook. Let us know, because Eric's really going.
All right, Ed's mic is off now.
See how I get treated? This is going to change. I'm going rogue.
Hey, Em, what's the temp?
It is 63.
Cool.
Yes, Sean, you did hear.
Sorry, that's my bad. Yeah, I told you. Today's a weird day.
Everybody
got some weird juju.
I guess so. Sean, yes, you did hear 8-shot revolver that Eric has.
357.
357 nonetheless. It's ugly. It's very ugly. I mean, it's really ugly. But I guess it'd put an ugly hole in you, too. Sam just switched over to iHeartRadio. He's listening to this from iHeart. Thanks, Sam.
Is that Big Sam?
Sam Madison.
Is that grip over there for me?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the inside of it, though.
What's the weather in Florida, Mike? Send me a message. Is it sunny like it is here?
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. For today, mostly cloudy and mild, dry for much of the day before the rain moves in later in the day. High is 67. For tonight, rain with a few storms possible, low of 47. For Sunday, showers are likely, breezy and colder, high of 52. Currently 63 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Talk around the clock and breaking news at once. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Here we go again.
Welcome back to On Target.
Yeehaw.
Okay, two things, guys. First of all, I'm Eric. I'm the host here in the live studios of LEPD Firearms and Range, and I'm sitting here with Ed. Did I get it out earlier? Huh? Look
Big
at
Ed,
that.
not just Ed.
Big Ed.
Come
Sitting
on.
here to my right, my father and co-owner Phil sits to my left. Okay, I'm going to put Emily on the spot. Emily, you better have that button ready so you can talk. So let me just tell
This
you.
makes me so nervous.
Let me just tell you how good Emily is to us. So we play these different songs, and Dad will send her song, and I will send her a song. My request usually comes as I'm coming to the store, and Em, you can talk about this. What do you get from me as I'm driving? Well, after
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you about that.
when I'm stopped at the light, what do you get as part of the request?
A bunch of random songs.
Well, yeah, but you get a picture off my radio.
I do. I get a picture, and it tells me who you're listening to, and it's not me. So
Right. So
with the song entitled, like the song you want as your choice.
There you go.
So, but you see, your father, on the other hand, is very prepared and sends me a list. So
She has a list. She has a list that'll last her for about 10 years.
See, mine is, though, more spot. It's what I'm feeling today. I mean, today it was Supertramp. You know, that's what that was, Papa, was Supertramp. You know,
I
so
thought that was Neil Diamond.
Oh, jeez.
Nah, just
So,
kidding.
well, thanks, Em. You, I tell you what, you really make it all happen for us.
Well,
so
thank you.
thank you.
And I'm just saying now, on my birthday in June, I'm picking the songs. So
We'll give you that.
yes,
Yeah.
All right.
we'll
I'm
give
just throwing it out there
All
now.
right.
All right.
All right. So, guys, we have a JC. You still there?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Hey, before we do the gun of the week, quickly talk about the Baltimore.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Not surprising in some ways, but very surprising in others. A study that was done in Baltimore finds that homicide victims tend to be criminals too. That certainly doesn't surprise most of the police officers out there, but you have a tendency to think that the murderers are the bad guys and the people who get killed are the innocent victims of this. But they did a study last year. There were 348 murders in Baltimore. The significance is this has really been the driving force in getting these really horrible gun laws that they have in Massachusetts because of all the death in that one big city. But so when they took a look at these, guess what? Homicides in Baltimore largely involve criminals killing criminals. 82% of the victims had criminal records. 82%. Now, this is the one that surprised me. The average victim had 10.8 arrests.
Wow.
Almost 11 arrests per victim on the average. I thought that was amazing. 67% had an arrest record for drugs. 44% had an arrest record for gun crimes, yet they were still out there doing this stuff. 29% of the victims were clearly known by the police to be members of drug crews or else just simply gang members. So, unfortunately, that left 18% of those who didn't have an arrest record. That doesn't mean that they weren't involved in criminal activities. It just means that they had not been arrested. And certainly, I'm certain there were some innocent people in there, domestic kind of things, et cetera. But when you get a look at this picture that's driving this is what you guys always know. But criminals killing criminals. But that average victim had almost 11 arrest records already.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing. So that study pretty much tells us. Yet the anti-gun says, look at these horrible crimes that are being committed, and it is. The loss of life is not good, but when you deal in this kind of activity, you can kind of expect this is what happens. I don't think it's a surprise to many folks. But and another quick story: Bloomberg, even though he's not running for president, he's reverted his money back to this Everytown for Gun Safety, which is basically Everytown for Gun Confiscation, as I talked. That he has sent out, when I say he, Everytown Law Branch has sent out a memorandum to governors and to mayors of the city saying, don't listen to the Department of Homeland Security that says that gun stores are an essential operation. He's urging them to close down the gun stores, even though he said other businesses are being curtailed. So we don't want to give gun stores this privilege of staying open. So he sent that out using his money to try to influence people to take away our Second Amendment rights.
You know what's ironic about that, JC, is that you hear people on the left, or the people who are anti-firearms, talk about, the NRA pumps all this money into pro-gun activities, but they never talk about organizations such as Bloomberg's and the amount of money he's pumping in. I mean, it has to rival the NRA when you look at the figures. But I mean, so they're it's.
He said he's going to spend more. He just said, this is what the NRA spent, and I'm going to spend more money, and that's what he's doing. I mean, he bought basically the Democratic changeover in Virginia. He financed most of the campaigns for the Democratic candidates there, and now he's dedicated at least $8 million to influence the elections in Texas, trying to get anti-gun Democrats involved by paying for ads and pushing their election. So This is what he's doing.
I guess if you can't buy the presidency, you might as well buy gun rights.
Exactly. Well, and he's been trying to do that for years.
I know.
For years.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, JC. When we come back from the bottom of the hour news, we're going to get to my friend, good buddy Richie, who has some late-breaking, actually some really good scoop on the market that's going on in the firearms industry. I'm going to get to the gun of the week at about the 12:40 mark. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
What's going on out there? Everybody checking in? I only got one person tell me that I shouldn't be off probation. And I already told him his vote doesn't count. But we got Cindy. She's out there. It looks like my mother just checked in. You hear that, Eric? How are you doing today, Mom? I'm glad you're out there watching and listening to me on the radio and on Facebook Live. Yeah, my mom just checked in. Mama Ed. Cindy wants me to dance to Leonard Skinner. I don't think so. Of course, it depends on which Leonard Skinner song you're talking about. No wars on snacks this week. You're right, Derek. I brought a chicken sandwich for him, and he ate it before we came on the air today because he didn't want to have it.
I made sure, Derek, they all had their meals ahead of time.
And probation. There's another one.
It can't be from your family, Ed.
This one isn't. Tim Shaw. And Cindy said end it. That's 2-1. With me, that's 3-1. If not, I'm going to go rogue. I'm telling you.
All right. We will bring it up to the board.
Who's the board?
It's an undisclosed.
I am.
There you go.
What do you think? Hello?
See? She's not hitting the button again.
Yep.
I didn't hear you.
I asked you, am I off probation or not?
I've been on your team for a while, so yes.
That's 4-1. Thank you. She's the board. I'm in.
We will watch again this week.
And I'm technically doing a bazillion things back here too, because I have other fun stuff to do.
You do? During our show?
No, not during your show. Well, during your commercial breaks, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Jess.
During your show, I always pay attention.
I'm not even going to tell you what my daughter just said.
Is Richie on there? Him?
Yes, he is. He called early and was very prompt. I appreciated it.
He's a good dude.
So the big gun manufacturer this year we're going to talk about is High Point, huh?
Could be.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios with Big Ed to my right. Now you're on, Ed.
There we go.
Big Ed. See how I've elevated you from your fan base. They wanted it to be quicker to say who's here with me. My father.
When you got it, you got it.
My father and co-owner, sister.
He's not ready.
Left. No.
As usual.
JC is on the line with us. Also on the line, well, guys, in the past few months, we've not heard a lot from manufacturers in regards to big changes. I mean, everything's been going on with COVID. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So we haven't heard any big updates coming out of them. On other than production schedules and plant closings and so forth. But this week, we received some notification that I haven't seen out there anywhere. So I did what I always do. I go to my good buddy up in the Northeast, and he's our good friend, the man on the street, his ear always to the ground. So let me.
Fresh off the press?
President of Tactical Applications Consulting and Training, former SIG weapons coordinator, 24 years in the industry in sales, management for both law enforcement and civilian firearms. He's worked as manufacturers, distributors, retail stores, big into World War II reenacting, likes long walks in the park. And I guess it's time for a break now, guys. No, our good friend. We welcome back Richie with us. How you doing there, sir?
You got to cut that back a lot, my friend.
It's just how you told me to say it.
Well, that wasn't quite it, but you were close enough to it. Listen, before we get any further, I really need to know this. How do I get with Team Ed? I mean, I want to be the number 2 person to sign up for Team Ed.
There you go. See, he's there with me.
Papa, I'm feeling a coup.
The coup is here.
A coup right in front of us. That's
right.
The thing.
That's right. It's over, guys. I'm no longer on probation.
Yeah.
So what do you? So Richie, we talked this week. There's always grumblings of stuff going on out there. You have a good pulse on it because of your past, people in the industry, and you've been around it a long time. But there's something, and maybe I'm thinking this is more impactful than it is, but it seems very impactful. What did you hear this week?
Well, thankfully, there's not an NDA with this disclosure right now, which 9 times out of 10, you and I have talked on several occasions in the past, and there's been breaking news that I just can't tell you about. And there's still bigger news around the corner for this company that I still can't tell you about. But what I can tell you about is Glock has made a decision, and you received an email, all of the distributors out there received an email as well, that they are going to be dropping their Gen 4 9mm line. They are only going to be offering the Gen 5 version of 9mm, and they'll continue to offer the Generation 3 specifically for the California market. Now, the Gen 4 models are not completely being wiped out. They're still going to offer 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, and the 357 SIG round. Those will be manufactured down at the plant in Smyrna, Georgia. But all of the Gen 5 9mm guns, except for the G26s, will now be coming in from Austria. It's a business decision they made. Listen, they've got 3 generations of 9 millimeters, 26, 19, 17, 34s, whatever. At a time, you have to look at it, is it cost effective to continue offering 3 models? The Gen 5 came out. It offers a little bit more than the Gen 4 did. There were some modifications to the Gen 5 design. Didn't go over well when it first rolled out. The half-moon serration, the grip, didn't go over well. They got rid of it. They didn't offer front serrations on the first rollout. They now offer front serrations. So they're changing. But the bottom line is this. As a company, they made the decision to just eliminate that line. There's no need for it anymore. Now, for law enforcement, federal agencies, if they do insist on a Generation 4 9mm pistol in any variation, Glock will support that agency. But for the commercial market, they've made the decision just to go with the Gen 5 and continue forward with that.
Hey, Richie, have you seen so some of the Gen 4 non-9mm is going to be made in Georgia. Will those also be made overseas as well, or are we simply going to see all of those now with the U.S. markings?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have that information, or I can't tell you with the highest degree of confidence. My gut is telling me that probably we're going to see U.S. manufactured 40, 45, and 357. The reason why I say that is the majority of the European market is still dealing with the 9mm parabellum. They're not a 45 country. Most of Europe, they just stick with the 9mm. They're happy with that. My gut is telling me we won't see anything coming in from Austria that's not 9, but I'm not 100% sure. That's just my opinion.
Right. And, you know, I guess there's a silver lining, because when you and I first spoke this week, the initial notification we received said that the only firearm going to be made in the U.S. was the Gen 5 26. And we spoke I was kind of taken back by that, because we were getting 43s and I think 48s and 19s and stuff, all U.S. made. And at first glance, it appeared that they might be pulling back out of the manufacturing of these firearms in the U.S. market. But now that we know the complete picture, that some of the non-9s are still going to be made here, that kind of makes a little more sense.
Yeah, they had to just reevaluate themselves as a company, because especially over the last 2.5 months, their PO requests have skyrocketed. There's been a substantial increase. So as a company, they just had to make a decision to put their best foot forward and to invest their money correctly where they're going to take care of the market, and also as a company get the best return on investment. So they made that decision. The one thing I did leave out, though, is also the new G48 is also coming in from actually is being manufactured here in the United States. I mean, that's what they're doing. And now I'm going to give you a tidbit of information that I'm shocked that nobody knows about, but I've already seen it. I've sent you pictures.
Right.
Glock has 2 new versions coming out, both in the G45 model, and they have the G45 MOS-3, and they have the G45 MOS-5. These are proprietary slides cut for both the Loophole Delta Point Pro, that is the MOS-3, and the MOS-5 is now proprietary cut for the Trigicon RMR. They've eliminated the plates. They've gone with the 2 leading brands of red dots of what their research had told them. This is just, most people aren't swapping their red dots on their pistols. They go with the brand, they stick with it. Well, these 2 lines here of the 45 MOSs are designed specifically for those 2 red dot systems.
Wow. So, Rich, will those be, you just buy the slide for your existing one?
No.
Or that's going to be a SKU right from them with that?
That is going to be a SKU, exactly.
So are they not going to make it then with the plates?
You know what? That's a good question. I didn't ask that. That was probably one of the questions I should have asked. They're probably going to continue this. I can understand that they're trying to offer their consumer base, their commercial base, some variety and options. But I think there may be a price saving for a -3 or a -5 because you're not dealing with the additional plates and the packaging and the screws and so forth. So there may be a little bit of a saving on the commercial end. I actually had seen their demos. earlier this year at the Maine Chief of Police show, and I walked over to my good friend who works at Glock. He's a law enforcement rep up here, and I'm staring at this Glock on this table. I'm like, that's odd. Did you have that done? He goes, no, that's right from the factory. I'm like, you're kidding me. And I picked it up, and I asked him if this was proprietary information, if there was an NDA involved, and he said no. So I actually posted it on my work page, on my Facebook page, and got little to no recognition. I got, the normal likes, but there wasn't like this big hoopla, and it's still quiet in the industry, which I found very
That's
odd.
surprising.
It is going to be coming out soon, and then, of course, Glock will just roll out a new marketing campaign for it. Probably not as elaborate as their 48, but close.
Wow. What are you hearing any grumblings about the 42? Has that, or I'm sorry, the Glock 44? Has that lived up to the hype and everything?
The negativity and the videos came up, and then it just washed away. Glock is probably, in all the years I've been working in this industry, Glock has probably the best warranty department, hands down, than any other manufacturer. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about any of the manufacturers, but Glock, in my experience, goes above and beyond for both law enforcement and commercial. So they recognize the problem, they address the problem. I mean, if you watch the videos that were popping up on Facebook, they were the same video being presented multiple times, but there wasn't a lot of backstory to what happened. Was this a squib load? Was it a high-pressure round? But there was a problem that was addressed. They immediately took care of it, and there has been no grumbling since then. So I would feel comfortably that they've resolved that problem.
Wow. Any other guys? Any questions? JC, any questions?
No. What's the Glock 47, which has been, I guess, just kind of quietly adopted by the Secret Service and Border Patrol?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with that?
Anything is possible. I don't have any inside information on it that's going to come out to the civilian market. I think it probably will, just like the M gun came out. I think there'll be a slight variation between the service version and the civilian version. I can't see why Glock wouldn't do something like that. I would like to see it, and it would be great for it to come out. But I think as a company, especially in this industry, people often wonder why companies don't do certain things when there's a lot of aftermarket upgrades and accessories. First off, Glock's a perfect example. They're not putting all these aftermarket bells and whistles on their guns because they're giving the rest of the industry, all the small mom-and-pop stores that make barrels and triggers and such, they're giving them life. They're giving them a purpose to make aftermarket products. If you offered a absolutely perfect product, nobody would make an aftermarket part for it. So I just think that down the road they probably will release that, and there'll be slight variations on that. The one thing I will say, Eric, is probably on the Gen 5 scale, my gut, everything's in 9mm. Probably the next round of Gen 5s is going to be in the 40 Smith & Wesson, and the only reason why I say that is there is already a contract in Brazil. There is already a Gen 5 23 and 22 already down there with an external safety. So probably the next generation caliber is going to be 40 Smith & Wesson.
Wow.
No, another clarification question I have, Richie. Did you say that all the 9s, does that include the 43 and the 48, are they going to be made in the U.S. or in Austria? I missed that.
Austria.
Okay, all in Austria. Okay.
Yeah, that was a question I had. Paul was asking, was it made in Austria or in the U.S.? What about? He's also asking about the G44.
That's the 22 one. Is
that going to have the RMS on it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I can ask.
Okay. Well, that was Paul. One of our Facebook guys was asking about that.
Any other talk on the street, Richie, or any other manufacturers? You hearing anything?
To be honest with you, no. Right now, manufacturers they're struggling to figure out what they're going to do. POs have dumped in at an astronomical number. Every other event over the last 20 years has paled in comparison. And just to give your listeners kind of an idea of manufacturing, if you look back at January, most of the major manufacturers had already put POs in with their subcontractors for screws and plastic grips and fore ends and buttstocks and stuff like that. Those manufacturers have also put POs in. It takes time to acquire that product. Now, with everything that's gone on, sales have skyrocketed. Our numbers are through the roof right now. There is probably going to be a substantial delay in getting product out in quantity, or at least to the point where manufacturers are breathing a little bit easier. But outside of that, nothing new, nothing on my radar. And usually I get a phone call from someone, but right now it's just the regular stuff that's rolling out the door. Nothing else new and exciting that I have on my table right now.
All right, good. Well, hey, thank you so much for jumping on as usual. We'll stay in touch, and thanks for bringing us the latest and greatest from the streets. Always good to hear it from firsthand, and we appreciate it.
All right, guys, you take care. Stay safe.
Hey, one more thing before you go. I got another guy asking about the CZP10 Micro. Are they going to start making that here?
You know, the funny thing is, we've been trying to get CZ and my company to distribute them to dealers, and we literally were standing at the door, and our big toe was in the door, and all of a sudden, for the third year in a row, that door slammed. And it's not a dig at CZ. It's just CZ doesn't need distributors. They have enough demand right now. I would love to know, or love to have an answer. I don't know. I think that most of the European companies right now are evolving. Same thing if you look at Walther and Glock and Sig Sauer and some of the other European-based companies, they're establishing facilities here in the U.S. We are the driving market in the world. So it's beneficial to them to develop manufacturing facilities here. It cuts back on a lot of delays. It cuts back on a lot of cost on importations and delays at the ports. But on the CZ level, I got nothing, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I appreciate your input there. We thank you. And thanks for your support for the Big Ed show too.
Well, you know, I can help you out with marketing and public relations, Ed. We'll talk about that later.
Hey, let's get together.
Look at the time, Richard. Look at the time.
All right, you guys take care.
Rich.
All right, have a good one. Have a good one, Richie. When we come back from the break, I'm going to get to my gun of the week. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, I hope that answered your question, Matthew, about the CZs. Paul, I hope you got your answers as well. They're going to be made in Germany, it sounds like. So, and nothing on the G44. So, my mom checked in like I told you. She also texted me. She said, I look awesome on Facebook Live. Thanks, Mom. The face only a mother could love, right? Mom's celebrating a big birthday coming up here in May.
65?
No. Better add another 25 to that.
Really?
Yes, sir. 100.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
She's probably going to kill me for saying that over Facebook. Yes.
Wow.
A big 1-0. Huh?
I have 68 here, but that's weird, so
we'll go
this
with
could
it.
be wrong.
They can go outside and look out the window.
It's nice out. Let's put it that way. But it's going to change later on tonight, I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
If you listen to the forecast here in a second.
Well, I was just going to try and get it firsthand from Emily.
Oh.
What time's the rain coming in?
The time that I wanted to do a bonfire.
which was that? That wasn't it.
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today. Mostly cloudy and mild. Dry for much of the day before the rain moves in. Later on, high of 67. Tonight, rain with a few storms are likely. Later in the night, low of 47. Sunday, showers are likely. Breezy and colder, high of 52. It is a nice 68 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Columbus's news, traffic, weather, and sports station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came.
Welcome. Jeez.
What's this?
He better be there.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's here.
Thank you, Emily.
You're well, that's the only song about brown-eyed girls, I feel like. So I'm brown-eyed, so I played it for you.
All right.
Was that on your list, Popo?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Derek, joined today in the LAPD studios with my good friend, Big Ed, sits to my right, who's almost off probation.
He is off.
My father and co-owner, Phil, sits to my left, and JC from the undisclosed location is on with us as well. Always good to hear from our good friend, Richie. I have known him now for a long time.
Cindy just said, I make the show. I love you, Cindy.
Is that, you know what, she must get it. Who is Cindy?
I don't know. Oh, I know she's one of the ones that was out in the hot tub over in... What island was that they were on?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, St. Martin, I think.
Yes.
So, guys, we have a few minutes left, and I have the gun of the week this week, brought to you by TTD Technology. You know, I got a couple of things that I end up going towards when it comes to firearms and collecting firearms. And one of the things, probably my favorite platform of all firearms out there, are the Smith & Wesson Model 36. And I have Paw Paw to thank for that. Actually, probably one of my first guns, in the J-frame. So recently I acquired one, and JC, you and I talked about this. The Model 36, of course, the iconic 5-shot little snub-nose revolver from Smith & Wesson.
Real snub-nose.
Most of the time, you see it in commonly referred to as a 2-inch barrel, although the barrel is actually 1 7/8.
1 7/8.
And John and I had a big debate over that, Papa. Why, when they were getting to that point, did they not just make it 2-inch?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
I don't know. Well, that's the question we'll throw out there. Maybe we need Mr.
The guy couldn't read the measuring tape.
Maybe the length of barrel that they have to cut, and they allow for the waist. And bottom line is that's
the sole cut.
Maybe they cut it rough cut 2 inches, and then by the time they polish it and everything and do their thing.
Or maybe the measuring tape wasn't right.
Could be.
That could be. Maybe they're in centimeters or something.
Chinese measuring tape. Yeah,
there you go. But so most of the time you see them in that shorter barrel configuration. But they did make the Model 36 with a 3-inch barrel. And that is what the gun of the week today is, a Smith & Wesson Model 36 with a 3-inch barrel. Now, what's kind of unique about this, first of all, it looks like a shrunken down Model 10.
Model 10 with a heavy barrel, yeah.
Right, has a heavier barrel. Now, here's the uniqueness part about this one that drew my attention to it. This one came in the original box. And,
no, that's in great shape.
It looks brand new.
Yeah,
it does.
I don't think it's been shot.
This one was shipped to NYPD, New York City Police Department. And apparently, in the box is still the records from when they test fired it in 1979 to make sure it was up to spec. And then according to the person that I purchased it from, it had never been fired since then, so it never went into duty use. But I asked him, I said, well, why you didn't see 3-inch barrel 36s? I mean, the detectives were all going towards the smaller, snub nose. When would this come into play? Well, a lot of the female officers at the time had a hard time handling the Model 10, so they gave them the option to carry on duty the 36 and a 3-inch barrel.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how many people took them up on it or how prevalent it was, but that's part of the reasoning that you may see some come through there.
That is a shiny blue. That's got a pin barrel, too.
It is. I know.
Yeah, because it's that old.
Yep.
Right,
yes,
Ed?
Yes, it is that old.
You know what a pin barrel is,
I do.
Yeah,
right there. Right in it.
What do you think, JC? I wish you were here to see it.
Well, I wish it was mine. I wish you were looking at mine.
Are you going to pass it around, or nobody's allowed to touch it?
Don't cock him out.
The 36, as a matter of fact, in all their variations in the wintertime, it's still something that I carry. It's in the 6 series now, but when you don't have time to draw, the revolver is about the only thing you can fire repeatedly out of a pocket or a purse or a bag, and those are still great guns. So I got an early one from '51 with a flat cylinder release on it, but from a detective from Cincinnati Police Department. But
I didn't know that.
Great guns, fantastic.
There's no wear on this gun whatsoever.
I know, and then there's no cylinder line and everything.
No muzzle wear, nothing.
Oh, JC, back up there for 1 second. Wait, you have one from 1951?
Yeah, the 1951, which I got out of a dumpster. So I went dumpster
hello,
diving,
Emily, dump button.
And they threw away a 2-inch barrel, heavy barrel, 2-inch barrel Model 10, and in a Model 36.
It was probably used in a crime.
John,
it was in a dumpster, more than likely.
Police officers, and they had it for home. When the lady died, the people coming cleaning it up went, "Oh my goodness, there's guns and there's loaded. What do we do with them? So they put them in a black plastic bag and went over to the big apartment complex where all the garbage went into one of these, 40-foot long giant dumpsters. I said, when did you do that? He goes, about a half an hour ago. So I ran down 4
dumpster diving?
And went dumpster diving, and about the fourth one I picked up, the guns had gathered in the bottom, and I poked my finger through it, and out came a Model 10 with the dialer grip on it, and followed by the other one, Model 36. So,
wow.
Yeah,
well, guys, thanks for spending the last hour with us. Certainly reach out to us anytime. We're opening 11 until 4 Tuesday through Saturday. Give us a ring or stop by. And Ed, we'll talk about this probation for next week.
Well, I got 2 more people. Just
All right.
Take Ed off probation.
You can bring that up at the board meeting.
I will.
Have a good week. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Happy birthday
From
to
the
you, Carol.
Elk Elk Studios.
Sorry I didn't get it
If
in
you had
so
a loved
late.
one recently died.
You there, Emily?
Yes.
See, we like when you jump on with us.
I know, it's fun. Hold on one second. Can you... Okay, talk for me, please.
Okay, testing.